First thing I usually check on a used dirt bike is the wheel bearings in the shocks, and I just check visually the brakes, the sprockets and stuff like that. So how to check the wheel bearing? It's very easy. Grab your bike and grab the wheel and see if you have any wiggle side to side. Well, in this case I don't feel anything. If you have it, then you need to replace wheel bearing, which is not very expensive. You can maybe do it for like $30 if you do work yourself. So it wouldn't be such difficult project to do. Another thing is you grab the wheel and try to pull it up. If the wheel has some play going up and down, that means that one of your bearings on the shock or the linkage might be out. So let's try to do that. Again, in my case, I don't feel any play, which is surprising. Seems like this bike wasn't really ridden that much. That's good. Next thing would be to check your side-to-side movement for your swing arm. Hold the bike. There's no play at all. So all my back end is nice and tight. I don't have a linkage. I'm pretty happy about, so there is less thing to worry about. Because rebuilding a linkage is not that hard, but I did it for my RM. I spent like $120 for parts, and it took like a couple of hours to do. So right here I only have one bearing here and one on the top, which is much easier. And everything seems to be nice and intact. Once you are on the rear shock, check the shaft for any leaks. If you see any traces of oil on the shock, that means that you might have some leak and you will have to replace or rebuild the shock. In my case, everything looks clean and nice, so shock is okay. Next thing to check would be rear brake pads. You see you still have a lot of meat over here, so these brake pads would still be good for some time. Then we move over to the front and check the steering bearing. It should be one nice and smooth movement. And when you leave it in the middle, touch it a little bit, it should fall down, just like that. Check your throttle. You should always come back, just like this. You should hear the click when it hits the bottom of the carburetor. Front brake. You should feel it a little tighter as it comes down. I'm not very confident about this front brake. I would possibly need to rebuild the master cylinder. We'll see once I ride it. Because this one is already on the max and it still comes too deep. I don't like that. Anyway, I would have to probably replace it. So moving to front forks, I want to check if there is a leak on the seals. Well, how would you know? Check the tube, and if you see any traces of oil or dust and oil, something like that, it means that your seal is leaking. This side looks pretty cool, pretty clean, but hope you can see on the video, the other side right there, you can tell that there is a leak on the seal. So I would have to replace the seal, and once you do that, you would have to replace both sides. Checking the wheel bearing on the front wheel, same thing we did in the back. So grab your fork and try if you have a play. Well, in this case, I can see a play. I can feel it. Check right here, you will see a little move. So this would be definitely a thing I need to rebuild. Get a set of wheel bearings and replace them. It's not that hard. I can do it myself easy. Next thing, check the brake pads. Not sure if you guys can see it on the video. I see it, and they still have something left on there, so I wouldn't worry about it for this season. Probably maybe next season I'll get new brake pads. That seems okay. So once you have wheels and bearings and all the stuff checked, come to your engine and look for something unusual. Look for some crack or some oil that is leaking somewhere, or something that is not supposed to be there. As you can see, this is a nice FMF fatty pipe that has no dent. I like that. You want to check your seals. You can kind of tell what kind of person was doing the bike before. Everything is nice and clean, nothing is sticking out, all nice seals, and it makes you feel a little better about the bike. There's your O-level screw, made in Austria, KTM. So I don't really see anything that would bother me. You can always check your kickstart for the wiggle. This one has some, but it's not that bad. You know, by the side of the engine you can tell how much the bike was used. You can replace plastics and everything look brand new, but you cannot replace these things. I mean, you can, but normally people don't do that. I can tell this is original. There is not a lot of wear showing on this piece, so you can tell that this bike wasn't really ridden a lot. Rear brake, I like how short the brake is. You can adjust it right here. I don't like to go too deep for my brake. This is pretty much the standard I like to use. Yeah, it's a little squeaky, but WD-40 will fix that. Everything works here. You have this rubber protector of a frame. Also, you can tell there is not a lot of use from these things. The bike looks pretty clean. So we moved to the other side and we are checking engine and carburetor for something unusual. Your choke, make sure it stays up. This works fine. It has a gas filter, which is a nice feature. Seems to be working okay. Everything looks pretty clean, and you can tell that this sprocket needs to be replaced. You see how the tooth are a little bit bent, so this sprocket actually gets a lot of abuse, way more than the rear sprocket, because this is pulling everything and is doing a lot of rotations. So these are the things that you need to replace quite periodically. It's not that expensive, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Once you get the bike, it's good to replace it anyway. Take the cover off and check the air filter. Yeah, it looks pretty nasty. Definitely I would have to buy a new one, clean the whole air box. I don't want to ride it like this. You can also tell that the rear sprocket needs to be replaced. I mean, I can still use it a little bit, but I would definitely look into new sprocket, and I'll probably get everything new. Chain, sprocket, front and rear, you know, just to be sure. Check the radiators. You want to make sure that you don't have any leaks on the radiator. It's easy to see it because the coolant is usually pink or green or some color like that, so you would see the traces of it. If there is a leak, even a small leak, you would see it. But I'm checking both sides and I don't see any traces of that color. That means that the radiator is probably intact. There's no leak. I mean, you can tell that on the top there was some rug or something hitting it, but it's not such a big deal. For the last very important part is to check your engine. Make sure that it's in the working conditions, and then you don't hear any kind of weird rattle or noise or squeak, something like that. The best is if the owner would let you test drive it, but some guys like my guy, he didn't want me to test drive it until I give him money. He said I can start it and then run it through the gears on the stand and see that everything works, but I cannot really test drive it because he doesn't know me and it's a fast bike, things like that. Well, let's start it and see how it goes. How it keeps idle, pretty nice. The bike is still cold. So I'm gonna run it through the gears. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, back here. 4. Looks good. I like how it starts on the first kick. Let's do it again. No gas. do you guys think? 2004 250 SX 1800 with some extra stuff. It has a title. Would you take it? So now we are complete. Welcome home, baby. So that's it. Got my new bike in the garage. I'm really happy about it. Hey, let me know what you think about the video. Give me your thoughts about the bike, how much I paid for it, and about this whole video, how I bought the bike. And if you didn't do so yet, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button if you like it, and comment below. I'll see you next time.